What's up, guys? I'm Tyler from Fanny Pack Photographers.
I'm Eric from Techie Agent.
And we're doing a joint video today on the new iPhone 12 Pro Max. Just got it today. Obviously, a lot of you probably got it today, but this thing is awesome. Initial review is that, first of all, the phone is giant. Had no idea it was going to be that big of a phone. Significantly larger than the iPhone 11 Pro, but we didn't have the Pro Max because there was no need for the Pro Max in the last iteration.
Right.
And now we have a reason. The reason we went to the Pro Max is because the camera had the different stabilization. So elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, and for both of us, like, we honestly prefer the smaller form factor.
Yep.
Because it's more pocketable. It's one-handed use. You know, it's like my fingers and thumb can reach everywhere on the screen. We have both kind of not had the larger displays in the past because it's not quite as pocketable. It's more of a two-handed operation phone. But we were forced, if you want to call it that, forced to...
Thanks, Apple.
Yeah, thanks, Apple, to buy the Pro Max, the 12 Pro Max, because it has some additional camera features, which we'll talk about, that you don't get on just the 12 Pro.
So basically, they stabilize the actual sensor as opposed to the lens. Is that correct?
Correct. So like on the previous 11, you've got I think it's the only optically stabilized lens on the 12 or the 11, I should say, was the standard one-time zoom.
Sure.
So they only stabilized the one lens.
And they did the same thing with this one.
Correct.
With the new stabilization, which is on the sensor, which you only see really in pro-level DSLRs or, mirrorless cameras.
Right, the two-axis. Well, so this is two-axis. You get into, on a Pro DSLR, you can get into five-axis, meaning there's all these different ways the sensor can move around to compensate for camera movement. Some of that is done physically on the new iPhone 12 Pro. It now has a two-axis stabilization, but then additionally there's software built in to stabilize the image even further.
So the video quality is phenomenal. I mean,
yes,
you'll see some B-roll that we're rolling here in just a minute, but the video quality is phenomenal. Low light performance is extraordinary.
Absolutely. I'm noticing a lot less noise in the shadows, just a brighter overall image. It is shooting now 10-bit Dolby HDR, so you're getting literally more dynamic range in terms of what the camera is able to see compared to previous generation iPhones.
Now, we've heard that there's an issue editing that, which we'll find out as soon as this video is over, because we're actually recording this on the new iPhone 12 Pro Max as well.
Correct. And on that note, I did notice that the video straight from the 12 Pro to Facebook or to Instagram or to anywhere else looked great. I did not need to, use any sort of professional conversion or editing tools. However, when I did take the video from the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max and put it into Final Cut Pro, which is a professional video editor, I did have to change my library and project settings to account for the wide dynamic range video. If you have it set to any sort of standard mode, all of the video will appear blown out, and you'll be very confused as to why it looks overexposed. But when you set your media and project settings to include and account for high dynamic range or wide dynamic range video, then you'll retain all of that clarity, retain all of that wide dynamic range, the colors and everything else. And so just note, if you're going to edit this video in a professional video editor, to account for that it is Dolby HDR video. It's not standard Rec 709 or anything else. So anyways, that was just kind of a nerd moment, but wanted to clarify that for anybody who might use this footage and edit it in a professional video editor.
I did notice while mine's updating that it's getting pretty hot.
Yes, I noticed that on mine as well.
So I don't know if that's a reoccurring problem that they're going to have. I did see, just an article I read yesterday, the new Xboxes might be catching on fire.
Okay.
So hope that doesn't happen with the phones, but...
Yeah, we're getting processors that are becoming so powerful in these mobile devices. I wonder at what point when they're going to have to figure out some cooling or add a fan. Yeah, absolutely. I noticed the same exact thing when mine was downloading all this stuff, and then I was charging it at the same time.
Yeah.
Battery was getting hot.
So that's one thing that we've talked about in the past that I'm really excited for is the back is magnetic, so you can have that MagSafe adapter for wireless charging. Also for a lot of accessories, your wallets, your even your dash mount in your car. So I'm really excited to get some of those accessories and try those out as well.
In terms of camera, like what I'll probably do is at some point here in this video, I'll cut in a comparison between the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max to show you guys kind of the improvements that they made or didn't make depending on the situation.
Well, let's stop bumbling and give the people what they want. Let's show them the comparison.
Okay, let's do it. So one of the things that we immediately noticed about the iPhone 12 Pro Max is that in any sort of indoor situation, if it's low light or even if it's with artificial lighting, the color saturation is a little bit more natural. The color correction is a little bit better. And then obviously just the low light capabilities of the Pro Max are a lot better than the previous generation iPhone 11 Pro. The iPhone 11 Pro is no slouch. It does really, really well. But the color saturation and the color correction, I noticed my skin tones look a little bit red in this image here, whereas the 12 Pro Max just did a little bit better, looking a little bit more natural. Now, what you're watching right now is slow motion video, and I honestly did not notice any sort of difference between the 12 Pro Max and the previous generation iPhone 11 Pro. And in fact, looking at the the science, the color science behind both of them, they are shooting in Rec 709. They're not shooting in any sort of high dynamic range. So the 10-bit Dolby capabilities are not extended to slow motion video. When you're shooting in slow motion video, it appears that it's basically using the same settings as previous generation iPhones. Now, in terms of stabilization, does the iPhone 12 Pro Max really make a big difference with that in-body, sensor stabilization compared to a lens stabilization on the iPhone 11? A little bit. It's ever so slight. I feel like the iPhone 12 Pro Max, stabilization is just a small fraction of a difference. So it's just enough to be perceptible, but not much beyond that, if I'm honest. So it's great to have it. I think it's very forward thinking of Apple, but it's not a deal maker or deal breaker. I think both cameras, both phones, do a fantastic job with stabilization, and you only get modest improvement by going to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Another thing that we noticed, and it's not really a big deal, but it's worth mentioning, I guess, is that the camera lenses on the iPhone 12 Pro Max extend out away from the body of the phone a little bit more than the previous generation iPhone 11 Pro models did. So on the 12 Pro Max wide-angle lens, as you're seeing right now, we're getting slightly improved low-light capabilities over the previous year, but we're still seeing a lot of artifacts in the shadows and a lot of noise. On the standard lens, or the one-time zoom, the standard lens, we're getting, in my opinion, significant low light improvement over the iPhone 11 Pro. This is where they've, I feel like, have invested a lot of their energy is in that 1x or standard lens. They've really improved low light capabilities and just quality overall on that particular lens. And on the zoom lens, we are getting improved low light performance for sure, but we're still getting a lot of noise and artifacts in the shadows. And it's pretty much a similar story for the camera mode as well. On the wide angle, we are getting some low light improvement. As you can see here, this is a very dark room, and there's a little bit of noise. It's not too bad on the camera mode. Standard mode, however, we're getting very little noise, very beautiful images taken here with little to no noise in the shadows. That's fantastic to see. And then on the zoom, we're probably getting the worst low light performance on the zoom. We're getting a lot of noise in the darks. So my opinion is that Apple has taken the great, fantastic camera that already was on the iPhone 11 Pro and somehow managed to get about another 20 to 30% improvement in all aspects on the current generation camera and video capabilities. And by the way, all of the video you've seen in this entire video, including the clip you're watching right now, yeah, that was shot on an iPhone. Pretty damn impressive.
If you are on a budget and don't need to upgrade, don't upgrade. Don't just do it for the sake of the camera.
Sure.
There are some significant improvements, but we've done plenty of videos on the 11 Pro, and they were excellent.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this, but it's not. I don't know if you need to go out and spend $1,500.
Yeah. Now on that note, though, if you're someone who's already got an 11 or a 10, let's say, and you're considering, hey, maybe I should go buy a point and like a high-end point and shoot camera, like the Sony RX 100, 4 or 5 or whatever, and you're going to spend $700 or $800, I would recommend instead you trade your old phone in, get your credit, put a little bit of money towards the new phone, because the camera is so good. I actually think that it outperforms damn near every point and shoot camera on the market right now.
That's a bold statement.
It is a bold statement, but it has.
But I think you're right.
It has computational photography,
Yep.
computational video. Now it's shooting 10-bit. Go show me the point and shoot camera that's shooting 10-bit Dolby.
I can't.
And has computational video and photos. They just don't exist. So yeah, I would stack. DSLRs certainly have their place, and you're going to get very professional results from a DSLR camera. But when you stack this up against
if you know how to edit.
Yeah, if you know how to edit. But if you're just someone who's wanting to have a point and shoot camera for family situations, for vlogging situations, why would you go spend $700, $800, $900, or in some cases, some of these are going over $1,000 now?
You shouldn't, because you can upload everything from here.
Yes.
It does everything that you need.
You could shoot it, edit it, upload it all on one device.
And you've always got it with you.
So yeah, and better battery life, all of those things. We could go on and on about why this is a better camera option. So if you're in the market for a camera, specifically like a point and shoot camera or some sort of camera upgrade, I would argue that the iPhone 12 Pro Max is maybe what you should consider. Instead of a designated camera, maybe look at a phone camera like the 12 Pro Max.
Do it.
Do it.